This next poem is also about my daughter, and it's called Adderall. I don't know how many of you know about Adderall. It's an amphetamine. It's a very strong medicine to medicate the condition. And I mean, she had to take it at a very early age. And you'd be surprised at how young children can be to take this kind of medication to control the condition. Okay. Adderall. Each morning she takes the capsule, plump, buoyant like a pod in gastric swells, swift to grant a lull, bring peace. Our girl released from chaos, flying to tasks, no screech, no bites, as beads of Adderall cast off, implant in neurons, sprout molecular Edens that bloom till twilight when they start to wilt, dying before bedtime. The brain clamorous for gardens to be resown on fallows of synaptic silt. I hear zealots. Disorder's divine, needs no cure. Bless flaws, yield to nature's draw. And forfeit, too, insulin if needed, I say? I drop guilt's garment. Sure, I've made the wiser choice. Open your eyes. Watch Valerie make sunrays with candy foil, glue castles from wood scraps, swirl sand to butterflies. I have other sonnets, but I'll just read that. This next poem is also from Fetish, and it's called Fetish. And it's not about, kinky boots or anything like that. I gave an interview on the newspaper that, I don't write about that kind of, this is an actual fetish, that I saw in a church in Cuba. I have, as a poet, struggled for many, many years over what do I do with that religion called Santeria as a Catholic. Do I embrace it? Do I understand it and love its beauty? Should I reject it? I mean, what should I do with this faith, which is a beautiful faith? And the poem is my way of working that out aesthetically. Fetish, Our Lady of Vegla, Church, Cuba. Beneath the sweet sop light of stained glass and El Egua, its head a smoke gourd carved with crosses that sprout capillary roots. Inlays of cowrie shell for eyes, nose, and mouth. A long tail coiling into a rosary of tamarind seeds. Were guinea fowl sacrificed among sea grapes on the breakwater? Was goat's blood stirred with molasses in coconut crania? Who keeps vigil so the red votive light does not die, or ants plunder the thimble of sugar? Whoever laid you so near the altar did not fear destruction. Aren't priests supposed to crush you with hobnailed heels, or the gentler sacristan sweep you out to sea with a Palm Sunday broom? Blessed squatter, gorgeous stowaway from the bite of venom, I crave to take you home where snow and hail fall from brittle clouds that phosphoresce the night sky. Don't fear, snow is coconut flakes, hail rock candy. I will paint gauche jungles with aquatint vines, ochre sabas, orchids that grow in gessoed moonlight. Your lair of Spanish moss by a bay window, where you will eat red papaya, drink rum, sun like an iguana on a yagruma tree. This next poem is also from Fetish, and it's about television. I learned to speak English without an accent by imitating the voices I heard on television, and it's actually true. I did, and I was very efficient at it. I made it a point that the kids in school would not beat the crap out of me because I had an accent. Yeah, and they did. They're very, very good at it. Okay, television, a patient teacher. Never a nag, mean word. Our color quasar in the sunroom where Mr. Rogers hurled droplets of praise, and I could forget the clang of Miss Dorn's burro bell when I said shadow like chado, stretched the O's of wood and good into a U. Mama's gleaming bathroom, a language lab, where I stood before the gold mirror to chew in Cronkite monotones. Pop like bazooka gun those plosive bees that pummeled Batman's foes. After a hot bath, I practiced the tidal schwas of Captain Kangaroo, my vaporous face breaking up, drips and streaks on cold glass, the mouth swollen and rubbery, a cephalopod in eddies. Within 3 years, I could pass for a Hoosier or a Buckeye. Mama proud I'd mastered a tongue that to her sounded like a sick dog. A Castellano retreated into memory. Dreams, the once proud Hidalgo humbled to chatter. No quitter, it began to lurk. Mind's liminal wilds, borderlands between the conscious and unconscious. A guerrillero, a trickster resisting English, his usurper. As in a game of musical chairs, El Padre Nuestro lost his throne to the Lord's Prayer. But any request might talk with God in sovereign castizo. To break writer's block, think like a child, I free write in Espanol, squelching any intrusions by Lord English. After an argument with my wife, those words I regret are hard nasals, caustic fricatives, but cariñito cloys like guayaba paste on a sticky afternoon. Colleagues call me cubano, rounding out bottles like smoke, which pleases me enough to wear guayabera, pestle Cuban with garlic, fix saints to the dash, let rice boil over the pot. It's supposed to be funny. It's the immigrant experience, with a touch of humor. Well, this next poem I will read, and I will read a few more, and then that will be the end of it. But this poem is called, it's named Miami South Kendall 1969, and it's also about those kids in my neighborhood who used to, beat the living daylights out of me, and who attacked my home because we weren't supposed to live in the neighborhood. And I find it kind of funny, but maybe it's not so funny. Miami, South Kendall, 1969. Papa was hosing down our new silver Grand Prix, I scrubbing muddy floor mats when 7 boys rode up our driveway, legs tummy gunned by mosquitoes, eyes gunpowder blue. They formed a line, passing around a furry Bowie knife. Go back to Cuba, the chorus taunted. We hate the Spanish. Indigo, snake coiled about his wrist. Marcus hissed, snarled, telling my father to kiss his ass. Besamacula. A fellow fifth grader, it was Marcus, who pounced on me as I walked home from school, calling me a dumb spick for saying yellow like jello, bony arms choking, my mouth scrubbed in dirt of dandelion and bitterweed. I cried alone in my room, ashamed for not hitting back, praying for Marcus's death, fists pummeling the pillow. Papa warned I'd grow up queer if I couldn't fist fight like my younger brother Carlos, little rooster. The boys began to hoot, make monkey faces. Marcus play-acted a lynching with a snake. Papa charged, spraying water, shouting, "I call in the police, coquis and rambiches." He did say that. Then all seven mounted their bicycles, sprinting toward avocado groves. Some days later, we found death's heads carved on the garage door. Papa sold the house at a loss, and we moved to a bungalow off Calle Ocho, our neighbors' newly arrived refugees. By 1971, freedom flights were bringing hundreds of Cubans each day, my grandmother Nena among them. The Everglades dredged for an expanding little Havana, politicos dreaming of a malecón on this game day. Stars and stripes flying from car antennas, hate signs taped to windows, Anglos fled to rural Manatee and Osceola, some journeying as far north as Alachua, Apalachicola Bay, Blackwater River, and County Line Road, a strip of gravel and sticks, the new border dividing America from America. This Miami is long gone, but it was very real back in the 1960s. I'm now going to move on to some poems from my new manuscript entitled Heresies. And, there are many wacky voices here of saints that I make up, saints who are just weird. I'm just charmed to no end by saints who are so zealous in their practices and their beliefs that they have no reason in them whatsoever. I'm just fascinated, in fact, by voices that are extreme. I want to think like that, at least for a while. Let's see. This poem is it's a persona poem, and it's in the voice of Saint Barbara, the patroness of gunners. She actually was the patroness of gunners, and she is very much loved by Cubans. Cubans just can't get enough of St. Barbara. They wear these huge necklaces with medals of St. Barbara, 18 karat gold, and they put St. Barbaras in their homes everywhere and on the front yard, and she happens to be also syncretized with the Orisha Shango in Santeria, so you get some of that too, If St. Barbara can't do good, maybe, the Orisha can do a little bit of good as well, It's like, you get two powers to work for you. That's better than one, I suppose. So, St. Barbara, patroness of gunners. Saltpeter is the rock of my church, whose cannons blast bombs of beatitude, whose mortars choir the creed, are martyrs' catacombs of concrete, bar and mesh steel, a stone bunker to hear mass for when the infidels shell. How I love the smell of gunpowder as we hymn fusillades of Alleluia, ears ringing with canticles, high organ that bellows Aves, serpentine and falconet. In my armory by the Carib Sea, I trill salvos, high-pitched to Regina, kiss the pistoled crucifix, 44 calibers of zeal, pull tight my girdle of bullets, light the fuse. I spurn the fine musket of theology, true devotion a blunderbuss. Only a howitzer can persuade the heretic or the harquebus enforce canon law. God calls me to spread the gospel with shotgun and shrapnel. Catechize with a carbine, he says. Fire culverins to sway the heathens. Don't let mercy lure you to laxity. That's an extreme voice. Yeah, it is what it is. And I have other saints that I've made up. This poem, my friend Kwame Dawes likes a lot, so I'll read it. I made up a saint, Saint Mena. Mena in Spanish means or. So I made her up, Saint Or, Saint Mena. And she gardens metals. Okay, that's what it is. All right, that's what she does. And that's her obsession. And here it goes. I've not read these poems, so here you go. I hallow the lichens that bloom pig iron to ferruginous corallida. Bow to the molds that pick iridium bracts. Bless the broom that patinates glades of serrated brass. In orchards manured with antimony, I harvest bushels of burnished mangoes, galvanized guavas, nickel-budded papayas, those tin naseberries that soon rot to pewter. And in my hothouse of mist, a cast iron canopy, I tend the stray rhodium, groom the cast-off vanadium, graft the foundling gallium, raise the misunderstood Syrian. Beware, you misers of gold, you hoarders of silver, you ransomists of platinum, you abductors of palladium. I will crack your vaults, pilfer your strong boxes, then release your captives to the flame, tossing the molten clots into breakwater sloughs, floating the slag over dark waters, plowing the raw bullion into limestone's watery womb. And that's all I'll read from this one. And I will finish with a sonnet called Ars Poetica. And this sonnet is about the work that I used to do with my father in his shop. He was trained as an upholsterer as a young man, and then when he lost all his money in Peru, back in Miami, he started to make really cheap cabinets and other things. And I helped him, and I wasn't very good, and he made it clear that I wasn't very good. And my father never minced words, never. He always gave me the blunt truth, in his own mind anyway. Ars Poetica. After an oiled stone wet the chinked blade, Papa planed leftover lumber, groomed the grain with emery rags, nipped shards, buffed to suede every nick and scratch, then smeared an oily stain. armoire, cover, credenza, or stool, each made to outlast mold's caprice, rot's relentless reign. A cement shed, pawn shop tools. Papa got paid with cardboard IOUs but didn't complain. Deli bills, nub calls, worried about dirt spoiling beeswax. A runny varnish, the hair that strayed into seamless shellac. While I gave succor to fractures, restored scraps, healed the wart on a lacquered pine leg, vigilant in my care of salvaged wood as it bucked the austere lathe. Thank you so much for coming to my meeting.